Kia ora koutou. Hey, let's get that out of my face. Okay, tēnā koutou katoa, ko Ines taku ingoa, and I've been with you since 2016 on Facebook, and I've been, I suppose one of my mantras, or the way that I've framed how we can all make it easier to get to Whenua Maaori and live on Papa Kainga, is to do it through general land. So that's one of my ways of sharing with you my skill set and my journey, and my strong belief that living on Papa Kainga is good for our health and good for our well-being as Māori people. If you're new to my page, my name is Ines and I'm a registered valuer in New Zealand, and I started my career in Australia, Victoria, Melbourne and Tasmania, and I learned all about native title back in Australia, moved back to Aotearoa in 2012. Both of my parents were raised on Papa Kainga, so literally Papa Kainga, living the marae there, and cousins, aunties and relatives all living around. Both my parents are from that background, and communal living, I suppose, was the norm in my family. And so I know I come from a perspective of knowing exactly how it feels compared to living in urban settings. And so my belief comes from real understanding, my firsthand lived experience, that it's really great for our health to live together, and all of the benefits that come with being whānau. In saying that, having been a trained professional in property and a practicing professional, and still am, I also understand the financial obstacles, the legal obstacles, and what else? The economic obstacles that stand in our way of being Māori people living with Papa Kainga mindsets and Papa Kainga culture, but living in the whole white weatherboard house in a neighbourhood setting, so urban settings, and that change that's happened from Papa Kainga living through to 2 or 3 generations now of urban living, which has also ended up being renting, which has not even been renting, like even renting and being tenants is not easy. We're more like being a tenant and having an affordable warm home is more of an aspiration these days, which it shouldn't be. But that's the extent of our aspirations. I'm hearing people spending $1,200 a week for rent, $600 is normal, and so on and so forth. And so I'm on a mission through my business to provide courses, coaching support, and my professional expertise specifically for families, for whānau Māori, looking for aspirations of a whare, a home, and obviously leading on to whenua Māori. And I come from a perspective that all whenua that we own, even if it's urban and not in our iwi of origin area, it is still whenua Māori if we own it and relate to it, knowing that it actually connects us to our tupuna and our culture, rather than property, which is about richness and numbers on a spreadsheet and numbers and value. That matters for practical reasons. You need to know how to manipulate that and make the most of it in order to get finance, in order to get our whenua and our whare. It's practical, but it is not the bottom line. In my view, the bottom line is that it is our natural state is to be connected to whenua. I don't need to labour that point, I don't think. But that's me, your coach, your Kaihotu on this page, Inez, that's what I'm all about. And so I'm showing and teaching you my personal journey like I always have. It's the only information and journey that I have permission to fully and completely and freely share, unrestricted. And so that's what I'm doing. I'll quickly give you a quick show around, just a real quick one of what I'm doing right here and what the next step is, and then what the next step is from there. House of Noa here. House of Noa is a sub-brand of my brand, Indigenuity. Indigenuity is our company, and that holds our IP, our way of thinking, our properties. House of Noa is our initiative to self-finance to build on our Whenua Maaori. We've just converted and had the orders from the Māori Land Court. Sorry about the noise. To transfer our property. We have a 1/4 acre block of urban land. My husband and I applied to the Māori Land Court to transfer that into Māori title, and we've received our orders to do so maybe about 3 weeks ago. Our actual court date was on the 6th of July. So we are now 3 months in. August, 2 months in. Yeah. Now that we have our orders, it's awesome. We get to have Whenua Maaori. Only our mokopuna and our children will be able to buy the property. Others can, but it'll be more difficult. So our children have some land secured for them. The next step is to build a couple of houses on that whenua. And while I am working on a Whenua Māori, or Māori land home loan product with my colleague Peter Rice and others, and a beautiful group of Te Arawa people, it is a slow process to work with lenders and banks to get them to say, yeah, we'll give loans for Māori land. I reckon it might be another year or two. So we're getting there. But in the meantime, I have realistic expectations of whether we'll get a loan for Māori land, let alone a loan at all at the moment. I'm going to stand up. And so in that realistic expectation, I'm working on showing you all my smart way of being able to leverage other opportunities for money, and we're going to self-build on our Whenua Māori, maybe 2 houses, and sharing with my followers a little bit with you what I can share, and then with my members who are on my Whenua Māori module, how to do it more detail. So things like this here. So we have a house in Wellington here. Oof, a bit dizzy. Okay, just a normal house, nice big house, but apart from that, it's a white weatherboard special. We have a garage there. Nice garage, dry, it's good. And we have, when we bought this house, this is 30 square metre. It was originally, and then the property goes up the hill and there's a deck. And there's a swimming pool right behind this, an in-ground swimming pool. And so working with what we have, what we've got, that is part of the strategy for working around the limitations we have in Aotearoa of it being very difficult to get Māori land home loans. So the property we have I'm talking about is somewhere else. It's not this one. So this is general title property. I'll leave it at that for now. So I'm a systematic person and rational person, I think, and logical. And I like to work with plans and in a straight line of what is the best thing to do next. None of this messy stuff, eh? Don't ever come to me and ask me to be messy with you, please. I don't want to be. Messy is when you go to the bank or you go doing that kainga order stuff. It's mess. Get your shit all sorted first. Don't go applying for home loans for Māori land. Have no business doing that when you haven't even been through the Māori land court first, got your orders, got your agreement with your owners, your whānau. When you haven't got any money, all that kind of thing, just don't be messy. Drives me batty. What you do is you buy something, plain and simple, normal house somewhere, like we did, and you can either leverage means you use the equity in the property to fund your Māori land project. That's one way. You'll get money within 6 to 12 months that way, whereas there's other rubbish waiting 7 to 9 years just to get your, come on, man, no. I've got opinions about that, stop it. Or you can do things like what we're doing, which is using this one as an income asset, moving up to that property, building out here, out behind the garage, a deck, creating small cabins, creating a canopy, an outdoor kitchen, what have you, living mortgage-free, rent-free up there, and having a small income or income to pay for the asset down the bottom. See what I mean? Logical, makes sense. And then what that does is we're able to siphon our incomes towards continuing to fund the Māori land project. So let me recap. Number one, using general title gives you a strong base. From that, you can leverage your equity to pay for your Māori land projects. Or you can at least use the income and leverage the equity from a general land property and use that to fund your Māori land property. And you'll get that done within 12 months to a year. Whereas I'm hearing too many people taking 7 years, 9 years to fund their papakainga through the government. Those ones, folks, that's not me. I'm not your guy. I mean, I know how to guide you through those, but I think that is, why would anybody want to do that? 7 years of your life is precious. When you can do something logical, rational, methodical, okay, then I'm your lady. So right now, I'm just painting a little bit of a fence every day. And then once the fence is done, my husband built the new part of the deck. We have the old part of the deck. Sorry, it's a bit messy. That's the old deck. He's extended it here. We've built the fence to separate this part of the property from that part of the property. Heaps of you have seen this before. I'm painting it. I'm going to put some planter boxes, maybe have some leafy greens, some vines. And then close it. Now, things could change. It could end up being so nice we don't want to leave it, in which case we would have built that up the back there and have a little bit of income from a boarder or a subtenant or something like that. Anyway, so that's what I'm doing. And on my new season of this journey, I've stepped back from the direct coaching. So I'm creating all the programs, all the consultation advice, the expert advice, but I've stepped back from the direct coaching one-to-ones with program people. All one-to-one, like consulting is still me. And that gives me a bit more time to actually get into doing things like painting the fence, oiling the deck, planting some plants, getting the house ready and real nice, and then moving ourselves up there. So the other things I've been focusing on is, in order to live out there, to achieve this big highfalutin dream, I have to reduce our belongings, and that's been a process. That's gone from 2 bedrooms of clothes and possessions, working through it for months and weeks. And my goal is to get down to 1 big suitcase, maybe 2 big suitcases of clothes, each person. Living small, just for now, for this part of the journey. Yeah. And it's quite tricky. It's quite difficult. It's hard letting go of things, right? Just for clarity, we don't need to do that. It's just it's a principle, and testing it. I live it and then I tell you about it and see what it's like. And often it causes us so much trouble, arguments, lack of sleep, because it's really difficult being trying to aim to live small and shift when you want to be comfortable in the family house. But yeah, that's why we do it. We live it and then we share with you, and then you can learn from whatever it is that we find out. Just got a couple of comments. Tēnā koe, Andrea. Oh, kia ora, pare. Yeah. So, on a recap though, after everything I've said, I'm not shitting you. It does get tiring. It isn't always pleasant, always being on a mission. Yeah, I get over being on a mission all the time. I'm sure my husband and my kids get over being on a mission all the time. Sometimes I would love to just freaking sit in the house and have a normal, mahi and normal finish at 5, just chill out and not always be on a kaupapa. Yeah, I'll tell you how it goes in a year or two, whether it was worth it. I think that's what I'm focusing on right now with my tāne and my sons, is how to be right present in the beauty of what just is, instead of always having another goal. Yeah. Just being normal family would be nice, of course. Just chilling and just normalness would be nice. And saying that, when we first moved into this property, I think our mortgage repayments for the last few years, so it was just after or just before COVID, our mortgage repayments they were about 600 a week when we moved in, and they went down to 450, and we locked in at 2.5%, something like that, for 5 years. So we have, something around 400, maybe $400 a week. Yeah, mortgage, and then you have rates and insurance. And so in that time, I've come to find out that rent is now $650 minimum, and in Auckland and stuff, it's like $1,200, and around the place it's $750, $800 is normal. So even though I do say these things like, oh, I yearn for not being on the kaupapa, I'm starting to realize that I don't even think I'm on the kaupapa. I think I'm just staying just ahead of the wave, because it sounds like Aotearoa is even more unlivable than when I first went into the whole, I think homeownership's a great kaupapa, and share it on Facebook. Sounds like it's a bloody monster out there now. So I've quickly gotten over myself of being like, oh, I just want to chillax. I just want to be normal and be a mum. I think I've gotten over it and realised that, nah, cut it out. I'm just future-proofing a bit with having our Māori land block, and hopefully building little whare on there. Having this one for the big boys, having our one in Rotorua. And I think, isn't it amazing how shit is that you have to future-proof that much and be a little ant and secure equity and stuff like that, just to be like, sweet, in this country. Yeah. So when I think of that and I stop complaining, I just get up and I paint another fence. Yeah. That's all. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go put me on a bit of music, mute myself so you don't hear all the traffic and the cars. Go paint my fence. If you've got any questions, pop them in the comments and I'll come back and check in a few minutes or so. How much? Rent in Rotorua? 500 to 600. So you know what I mean? For basic as living. Ka aroha whānau. It's, yeah. So if I was to give anybody, not tips, but anything, it is this. It's like, you know, stand up. Oh, kuia haere. Oh my God, my legs. Oh my God. So getting into the whare market is like swimming out against the breakers. You know how when you go to, say, Maketu or the breakers where you go surfing, right? And you've got to push and push and push and jump over all those waves that are crashing. But once you get past the waves that are crashing, if you can keep going out, then there's the calm spot in the open sea. Girl, is that for real? That's on Frank Street? The rent is there? Oh my God. That's so bad. Anyway, if you can keep going past the breakers and the waves, get out to the clear sea, you're good. You're not good forever because you will get dragged back into the breakers. But once you're there, you can conserve your energy and then just paddle and you'll just stay out there. Kapai? So it always feels really, really hard at first, but it's just a feeling, folks. It's just a feeling. What's the equivalent? So if you just do your first property and maybe paddling out, what that metaphor would look like would be getting together with like 2 or 3 of you, 2 or 3 couples or 2 couples, so 4 people, and buying one really basic house that you don't really fancy, but you're getting in there, you know, and you're spreading that load. That shared space is what I would call the breakers. You know, just do it, be a little bit uncomfortable. We had this property and another property. I keep calling them properties, but whare, whenua, and we were maxed, man. We were maxed. We were living on a budget. But that's our breakers. Our breakers was just getting past and getting used to living on that budget. And once you're used to it and you're comfortable, then everything starts to become your normal. You earn a bit more. Your interest rates go down. You improve. We improved our sleep out, so it became an extra space, you know. So just stick with getting past the breakers, which is the tricky times, the uncomfortable times. Once you're in the clearing, it's about just staying there, maintaining it. Does that make sense? Cool. So I have, we have a rolling enrollment for our Indigenuity housing homeownership program. And you can do homeownership program and add on the Whenua Maaori module as well. So we have our own coaches for those programs now, and I'm taking on retreats where it's just a maximum of 3 people or 3 clients. I do one-to-ones and I do consultancy for papakainga. So those will be coming out in this new season. In the meantime, let me put on a little bit of DJ Easy Mix. Bit of music. You can ask me questions if you want while I paint my fence. Modi ora. Have a great day, evening. Love you all. Kia ora. For those of you still watching me paint my fence, I forgot to mention, the other reason I'm a big advocate for doing things this way, for achieving your Whenua Maaori goals the way that I've mentioned, which is by leveraging your own money, your own properties, your own expertise, creating businesses, right, doing things that way, rather than relying on the government incentives, is because we're in election year and shit's going to change. So I've said it since way back. When I first started my Indigenuity, we were under a national government. National governments are not pro-social anything. They are pro-business, and they are pro anything that looks like it's an economic, like encouraging people to have their own businesses, encouraging home ownership. They're pro that. And when Labor comes in, they tend to be less for that, and they're more for social housing and the homeless and things. What's my opinion? I don't give a rat's ass, because letting the governments define our well-being is that's just total. That's when we've been brainwashed into thinking that we define our land status and our connection by whether Labor or National is in, okay? But if we just accept the jungle that we're in, which is we're in a capitalistic country, and using, having loans and needing to understand equity is probably the fastest way that we can navigate back to our whenua, then we should be doing that. That's my school of thought. Here's what I mean. Did you check out the latest? I'll go and see if I can get it actually. I've got it in my emails. I have one of my awesome coachees who is an inspirational wahine who I'm learning a lot from. So she's my client, but I'm actually learning a lot from all my clients. They're brilliant people. Let me go and get the link to the announcement from the Minister of Finance. Thank you, Tracy, for your generosity in sharing this. Okay, everybody, I'm going to pop this into my comments section. Okay, I've popped it into the comments section. So here it is. Okay, so that release, the government tightens its belt. It is chopping back straight away on funds for many different parts, consultants, all that kind of thing, MB. Go have a look at it and you'll see that Kāinga Order has money that they're pulling back. And so let's say Labor doesn't get in, and the current economic environment, you cannot guarantee that money for Whenua Māori will be allocated. Okay, so let's get really real here. That if you're going to get caught up, we're going to get caught up with arguing the politics of whether and how we're going to be able to get onto our whenua. You carry on, go somewhere else. I'm not about arguing and wasting our energy. We have to take what is the environment and move around it. Yeah, we just have to shift around it. So what I'm wanting to offer you is how do you shift around it? And it's about just knowing some technical information, creating roadmaps, having a certain mindset, and not having dependency on the government incentives, because they're not designed to be here for long. Sorry. And they're not designed to last, and we can't trust that they'll always be here. Okay, so my hope for you, for us, is that we are resilient to political change and financial and economic environments that we can't control, but we can control what we do and what we understand. Okay, back to my fence. What are you doing? Leave it alone. Oh my gosh, I didn't even mute. All right, everybody. Ka kite. I'm sure you don't want to keep watching me just make my fence. Hoping to come to you sort of daily, giving you more insight into the behind the scenes stuff, because that's probably more of the realness that you have to deal with in any journey towards Whenua Maaori or home ownership these days. I reckon that's, and I've gone and lost this one. Yeah. Coming to you twice monthly with open office hours. If you've registered, you'll get invitations to those. Office hours is just an opportunity to have a corridor amongst the group. 2 hours I'm open on the Zoom link and we have a chat. Okay. Ka kite. Bye.